Committee will come to order. This is our first meeting of the TARP Financial Services and Bailouts of Public and Private Programs. I will begin by making an opening statement. I certainly appreciate the panel of witnesses being here and taking the opportunity to be here. Today's hearing is an opportunity to discuss growing concerns over the potential fiscal crisis looming for states and municipalities. Over the past 3 years, we've seen a culture arise where every institution claimed it was too big to fail. An all-too eager President and all-too compliant Congress kept putting taxpayers on the hook for trillions of dollars. Our budget deficit has reached an all-time high, and the national debt is crippling our economy. Now we're facing the consequences of bad government policy in yet another way. State and municipal governments, who are preparing for aggregate budget shortfalls totaling roughly $125 billion this year, are struggling under a $1 trillion burden of unfunded pension liabilities, plummeting tax revenues, and an unforgiving bond market. We must understand the magnitude of this problem to avoid the reactionary, ad hoc decision-making that fueled the Federal action of the 2008 financial crisis. This is not about one analyst. This is about the looming fiscal crisis in states and municipalities and the lack of transparency in their pension obligations. Let's be clear about this. The perfect storm is brewing. Already state and municipal governments are coming to Washington, hat in hand, expecting a Federal bailout like so many others. But the era of the bailout is over. That does not mean, however, that Congress must turn a blind eye or a deaf ear to the crisis unfolding in state and local governments. The beauty of federalism lies in the fact that the national government does not tell the states how to manage their own affairs, at least ideally. The burden of federalism is that when one state, or all 50 states, are in a crisis, we must work together to solve them for the good of the country. Since 1990, state and local government spending has increased roughly 70% faster than inflation. The vast majority of the states now find themselves in a fiscal straitjacket caused primarily by the looming burden of paying out trillions of dollars in lucrative public sector union pensions and health care benefits that come at the expense of taxpayers. For the last 3 years, funding from the Stimulus Act has masked the severity of the state fiscal challenges. In fact, there was $140 billion in transfers from the Federal government to the states included in the stimulus. States now say that the money would help them, more money would help them through their current rough patch. The reality, however, is that the money states receive from the stimulus has in many ways made them worse off. A lot of the funding comes with, quote, maintenance of effort, end quote, requirements that force states to keep funding programs after Federal funding dries up this year. More money from Washington would just delay the day of reckoning and only further complicate state fiscal situations. Besides, we don't have any more money. And beyond that, the simple fact is that the government has outgrown our capacity to pay for it. There will be severe consequences for not changing course. Young teachers fresh out of college and ready to give back to their communities will be told that their school districts cannot provide them with reasonable retirement benefits because they're cash-strapped to pay for the exorbitant benefits of others. Firefighters, policemen, and other public servants facing the reality that their vital jobs offer no promise of rising standards of living for their family or benefits will simply opt for a different career path. In the end, people will recognize that their government has failed them. But not only that, they believe that their government has actively hurt them. While we have the opportunity to change that, we're responsible to try. This is why we're here today, to come to a better understanding of the crisis at the state and local government level, to assess its causes, and to consider available solutions. With that in mind, this hearing, I intend to shed light on how states arrive at their current, how the states arrived at their current predicament, what is the current extent of their fiscal distress, and what needs to be done in terms of available solutions. My friend and colleague from California, Representative Devin Nunes, has a proposal that would require greater transparency at the point of most urgent concern, the pension problem. I've been happy to work with him on this legislation. I look forward to hearing from both sides on any and all possible solutions, and that's why we have this great panel here today. Let there be no mistake, though. Much is required to get our fiscal house in order, not just at the state and local levels, but here in Washington, D.C. But reckless spending fueled by bottomless borrowing and guaranteed by endless bailouts is an unsustainable course.